some of these margins in the luxury space are pretty substantial if you can survive. It's a high risk, high reward. Now, I've known a couple people where now they just strictly work for, like they are custom home builders. Being a spec luxury builder is completely different.
Right.
You can set your mark. I hate talking about numbers, but like, a couple $100,000 or so, just to build somebody's house, but you can make 4 times that potentially just, building yourself and selling in the luxury space.
This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, a podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals.
That's right.
Mostly.
So I'm glad, it's really nice when you have somebody walk in your studio that is different looking than the website. Because on the website, buddy, you look like GQ.
Oh, I don't look GQ anymore?
No, and I just realized I kind of put my foot in my mouth just now. No, this is one of those things where you do, but you look like you're actively on the job. That's not a bad thing.
Have to be.
Right.
Yeah,
that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, good general contractor, you want to be present on your job site.
Yeah, you got the work boots on.
Yeah, I know, man.
You're wearing the black shirt.
They can't see my shorts.
No shorts are on here.
Work boots.
He's not wearing shorts.
Yeah. Those are jeans. Wrangler.
Total jeans.
Yeah.
Carhartt.
Yeah.
Are you a Carhartt guy?
I am a Wrangler guy.
Wrangler?
I grew up in Michigan. Carhartt's big there.
Right.
But yeah, I just always been a Wrangler guy.
That's good.
Yeah.
So yes, this is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast. If you're wondering, I'm Jim McCarthy with it'syourshow.co. We produce these kinds of podcasts all the time, and fine podcasts like this one, I would hope to say. It is powered by Mule Town Bikes down there in Columbia on the square. I talk about them a lot. I've been doing about 15, 18 miles a ride every time I ride the old e-bike.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. People make fun of me for it, but
cruise.
Yeah.
How far away is Columbia from here?
It's about 20 minutes.
Oh, that's not
it's about 12, maybe 15 miles south of here.
Kind of good.
How long you been here?
Since 2019, but primarily downtown in Nashville, and then started building out in College Grove area. I'd say about 12, 13 months ago. Really fell in love with it.
Right.
Yeah. Love Brentwood as well. So being in the luxury space now, I've drifted farther south from Nashville.
So those of you who are tuning in, this is the gentleman I'm talking to is Josh Hein, who owns Hein Properties. And if you go to heinproperties.com, you're going to see some amazing homes, as well as a dude who could be he could double in modeling if he wanted to. For crying out loud. I saw your Instagram page. You're like one of those couples that's like, dude, you got another revenue stream there. I mean, just start auditioning or something.
Oh, it's my wife.
Good looking couple.
She makes me look good.
Yeah. But you build high-end homes, which around here is, dare I say, I would imagine not a very...
Daring.
It's daring.
Yeah.
I would imagine, depending on what your definition of fun is, not a very fun endeavor, because you're dealing with a very discerning clientele. I thought when I sold cars from 2013 to 2015, I started at Honda, which was like getting your lumps and building a really thick skin.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned to Mercedes, which everybody at Honda said, oh my gosh, if you go to Mercedes, you're going to starve because it's like night and day. To me, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. It was easy because they knew what they wanted. They had the money to buy it, all the sort. It was a lot easier of a transaction. And the product was the product. You could customize it to a certain extent. Not like you can a Ferrari or a Lambo or a Rolls Royce, but there's a level of customization that goes into a Benz that's fairly significant, but not that bad. Here are your options. Pick one. Let's go order it, or let's see what's on the lot. Buddy, in this case, my gosh. I mean, you're talking about months of prep.
Oh yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. So I've been in the construction business since 2010.
Yeah.
Started off in the commercial space. Love it. Actually, that's less my passion is working with cold form framing. It's a little bit more buttoned up and professional.
Commercial spaces typically are.
Yeah. So I've done some higher end hotels, condominiums, some red tape stuff like courthouses, senior living facilities, working with panelization, all sorts of stuff. Incredible experience. And then when I moved here in 2019, shortly after the pandemic, I'm like, well, my business is still functioning well. It's essentially running itself in Michigan.
Right.
Fly back every 6 weeks or so just to check on it. Do I entertain getting my GC license here? And talk to a couple builders around here, and the margins are extremely significant. I mean, as far as what I'm used to in Michigan, I'm like, okay, well, there's something here. Let me rewind that. Actually, in 2019, before I moved to Nashville, I was going to move to Santa Rosa Beach area. My mom and my family live down there now currently. And I had an opportunity to work with EBSCO, which is a general contracting outfit for Alice Beach. Mm-hmm. So I spent a lot of time with them for 6 months. Met some incredible individuals, some incredible interior designers, incredible architects. I mean, these are some of the best architects and designers in the world, if you know the area. So a lot of my conceptual, visual taste, I would say, started to really, when I'm designing a lot of these homes, are pulled from that. And came here during the NFL draft weekend, and then I got into the Airbnb business. Turned down that job. And then, after the pandemic, the Airbnb business went flat, and then decided to get my GC license. And it wasn't like I just jumped right into the luxury space. The luxury space was the goal. So my Honda dealership experience was the, $600,000 to $800,000 homes. And I learned early on that, really taking down properties under your own name and what this looks like, from a lending perspective, from a banking perspective, volume is super important as far as, trying to get the right loan. Yeah. Putting yourself into a position where you're at 90% loan to cost is huge, where you only have to come up with 10%. It's like, how do I get myself to that situation? How do I get to myself in that arena operating at 80, 85%, like most of individuals? And they're like, well, you have to have a significant amount of homes that are, purchased and that you purchase yourself and sell. Mm. So I started out doing some home renovations, some small new builds, completed 26 projects in 3 years. And now I'm in a position where I get 90% loan to cost. And then I'm like, okay, now it's time to jump into luxury space. Right. Because, if you're taking down a property, for example, in Brentwood, that's, I got in early working with a wholesaler too. I could talk all day, but I'll try to land the plane on this. But finding a property that's, let's say, 650 to 700,000, which now it's 1.1
which
for
is
a
the average
tear
price
down.
now.
Yeah. So, but this was last year. So 700,000, and then you're putting a couple million just into the, close to it. Yeah. Just into the building. And then you add those two numbers up and you have to come up with 10% of that, which is pretty significant. Yeah. So, and I do currently I have a full plate. But then, when I came out here, I had a friend of mine through church that said, hey, you got to check out some of these properties in College Grove. And I'm like, how's the luxury market out there? They're like, it's non-existent. I just keep finding myself in positions where I'm like comp setter, not because it's like, oh, it's great. It's because the land is so cheap, comparatively speaking. And I feel confident in my product that that people are going to see the vision. And when it comes to this area out here, there's some land that I came across, where you're looking at 375 to 415,000
just for the land.
Just for the land. Yeah. 8 acres, 5 to 8 acres, sometimes a little bit more. I found one for 375 for 15 acres. and we're building a luxury. They're all getting luxury homes, and it's the views.
Right.
You know, when I coming from Michigan and you know, envisioning what does like Tennessee, like if I was there in person, what would it look like? The rolling hills and pastures, and I didn't really find that in Nashville, but out here in God's country, it's absolutely stunning. And we're positioned up, you know, 800 to 1,000 feet in some of these homes, and you can see for miles and the sunset. So I got captured in the view out there and said, okay, this is where I'm going to attempt to not only place the dwelling, but like, let's challenge the luxury market and see if we can get something to stick out here.
So how many properties are you putting on 15 acres roughly?
One.
Oh, so you're
just
selling
that,
as
that's
large.
Just the one, yeah.
Because I got to be honest, I had an idea to start a Facebook page. Gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but it was going to specialize in 5 acres or more. Not exactly luxury, but people with property, people that just want space. Because we have a property right now, my business partners and I, that we have listed. But our idea was to kind of do what we're doing here in this house. To office out of a house, have a shop, we've got 3 buildings on this 10-acre property with a stream, a creek running through it.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that we get our number. So, I mean, it's been an experience for us going through it the first time for sure. You know, and one of my partners kind of played GC on it, if you will. I'm sure he's probably taken a couple of years off of his life doing that, but it's stressful. Especially when you're dealing with a bank that doesn't give you the damn distributions when you need them.
Yeah.
You get construction loans where all of a sudden you're using some freaking system called Built.
Yeah.
That is like, oh, yeah. Hey, we'll give you, you buy materials and the flooring up front and you get a good deal. We're going to reimburse you. That's what we were told. And then when you go for it, you give them the receipt. Okay, here's, this cost us $65,000. Okay, well, here's $6,000. Well, that's 10%. Are we floating this, or when do you pay for this? Well, when it's installed. Yeah. Okay. Well, you didn't tell us that.
Yeah.
That's what we're finding out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh baby.
Challenges of construction loan.
Oh man.
What were some of those eye openers that you had in the beginning?
Well, that's why it's important as a builder to start out, in a comfortable price point. Now what I learned, and thank God I got through the majority of it, actually all of it. Especially working out here when you're dealing with septic systems and you're dealing with nothing but limestone and rock. We're getting ready to break ground and that bucket goes in and, it sinks it. Yeah. Boom. I'm like, hey, try it over there. Then, oh man, what do I do? And this is a large dwelling.
You have rock clauses in your, you got it.
Well, no.
Really?
So then you have a budgeted line item for site work. Let's say it's $100,000 or so. And then you get your bill and it's 313.
Yeah.
And you multiply that by 4. It's like, okay, well, I'm in the hole here. How do I climb out of it, kind of thing? And you have to get really creative. And so I've had to position myself and do a lot of research to say, okay, how do I get through this? But let's just look at the loan itself. When you're working with lenders too, knowing, because they will tell you, some of them will tell you straight up, oh yeah, don't worry about it. Like, hey, I have $135,000 lumber package, and I have $180,000, but that's labor and material, whatever, just hypothetically speaking. Hey, as we progress, I do want to pay, I've been known to pay these guys weekly. Yeah. I'm not going to have a problem being able to get advanced, 25% of the work that's complete. Or are you going to wait until this line item is done, as if the house, framing over like a 2 or 3 week span?
Yeah.
Do I have to wait for that? Sometimes longer, depending the weather, it could take 4 or 5 weeks,
sure.
And then, if you have an account with a lumber company, you have 4 weeks essentially of that month to pay before charges. They'll tell you, oh yeah, don't worry about it. And then you'll realize they just tell you that because they're making money on the front end of the deal. They're getting their origination points at closing. And then once they sell you off. They're known in the lending world to basically wrap me up in a big red bow and say, okay, I have a great client. He's got all these builds, he's been able to buy and sell. Then they'll sell me off to a warehouse line like FCI or BSI or whatever. And then I am dealing with the lender, but all the rules run through them. And then they're like, oh man, as of, 3 months ago, you have to complete that line item.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what you and I talked about.
Yeah.
Well, then you're kind of up Craps Creek there, right?
Now you're coming out of pocket.
And I'm like, okay, well, what about my cabinet package?
Mm-hmm.
That's $80,000 to $100,000 in these luxury. It's like, well, they require at least 25-50% up front.
Yeah.
Oh no, we can't reimburse you that money until they are like you can have them delivered. That's great, but they have to be on the wall. The bases everything has to be installed.
Yeah.
It's like, so those are, and then the other thing too.
And I get why they're doing this.
Yeah. I do, but it can be a very dirty world.
Yeah.
And it's very upsetting. So I've been wanting to actually have the opportunity to speak on this. And especially once I get through this year, and I've already reached out to multiple builders that I know personally and said, okay, look, if you are going to go the lending route, not the banking route, make sure that you start off like you build in that interest reserve.
Yeah.
You don't want to be responsible for paying the interest as this goes. You're going to tell your client, you're going to have this done in 6 months, buddy. I'm going to tell you it's going to take you 9 or whatever.
How many builder buddies of yours have defaulted? And, the bank at some point, you list it, you try and sell it, and then you're at the whim of the market and who's going to buy, and then, negotiating price and all the things that go along with that. It could feel like you have a boot on your neck with these banks.
Yeah.
Have you had any other colleagues that, where the bank comes in and goes, now we get to foreclose and now we've got the asset.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, because if they do see value in it, right. It's like, some of these margins in the luxury space are pretty substantial if you can survive. It's a high risk, high reward. Now, I've known a couple people where now they just strictly work for, they are custom home builders. Being a spec luxury builder is completely different.
Right.
You can set your mark. I hate talking about numbers, but a couple $100,000 or so, just to build somebody's house, but you can make 4 times that potentially just, building yourself and selling in the luxury space.
Right.
So that's where people get, but I'm telling you, if you're paying those interest payments, if you're like, oh, don't worry, I can take the, a non-Dutch situation where you're only paying interest as you go. That's in the other situation, right? Most of these loans are, but some of them will pull a fast one on you. And that's why it's important to read everything. But you want to, make sure you're in a non-Dutch, you do have an interest reserve. And obviously you want to be, more than covered on your construction budget. And I've learned that the hard way where
of course,
this is a big mistake where I made with mine where I'm like, oh man, this is such a good deal. I could swing 1.5 plus the land takedown, but I need to be under 2 million. It's a couple $100,000. I can do this. They're like, well, what's your actual budget? Oh, 2.2, 2.3 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, yeah, they're like, that's going to increase the amount of money you're going to have to bring to the table. I'm like, okay, well, how do you get me down? The only way to do that is to chip away at your construction budget. Mm. So I'm like, I'll just make it up at the back end.
Right.
Big mistake.
Really?
Oh yeah. Excuse me. So early on, not especially, I think it would have been okay, but the unknowns with the site prep and the limestone and the site work and excavation out here and these extremely long driveways. And so, the worst thing you can do, which is what I did, is see an opportunity and jump on it. I gotta have it. Mm-hmm. I don't want this to go away. I don't want to lose it to somebody. And so, and then through that process though, I found a lender, and there's one lender that'll do this in the United States, is if you're 90% complete, they'll cash you out depending on the equity, the appraisal as is, an ARV. And they'll restructure you into a new construction loan, the remaining 10% mandatory interest reserve, for anywhere between 6 to 11 months, which you want anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But that, like having that ability to say, okay, is there any way that, and that's where my thought process went. I'm like, hey, look, I've put value into this property, mid-construction refinancing. Can they look at the value? Because let's say three of those builds that I had where I was paying monthly payments that were just burying me. I'm like, how do I get through this? And, reaching out and just doing my research. And it was like, oh, well, there's not a lot of lenders out there that'll do it. But hey, this guy will do a mid-construction refi. I'm not looking actually to increase my construction budget on these. I just want an interest reserve to protect my asset.
Right.
I don't want to be responsible for paying the monthly because it's dragging me down. Some are $16,000 to $20,000 a month. So, and then they're like, yeah, I mean, well, the as is value is 1.2 million right now. You only have X amount into it. Yeah, there's plenty. We're going to roll this construction loan into you. We're going to give you better terms, and we're going to, put $290,000 or $280,000 away, and making sure that there's no prepayment penalties, because if you sell the home in 3 months, you don't want to be, you get all that money back. And I know I'm word vomiting here.
No.
It's like, it's truly been a blessing to be able to come across people like that. To be able to, say, hey, look, I have something here that'll help you out. And any builder in the luxury space, you have to know that. I mean, these homes are going to sit anywhere between 3 to 6 months sometimes.
Every great podcast starts with an idea, but turning that idea into a professional show, that's where we come in. At it'syourshow.co, we specialize in the highest quality podcast production and short form video content. Record your show in our fully equipped studio. Or if you need us to come to you, we'll bring the studio experience wherever you are. We can even help you build your own. With it'syourshow.co, you're working with an award-winning team who's been creating content pretty much since 1997. So whether you're a business, creator, entrepreneur, or storyteller, we make the production process simple so you can focus on what matters most, your show. Take advantage of our summer special and lay out your messaging starting at only $97 an hour. It's your show with our expertise. That's the thing is, like, you're asking or teaching people how to ask the right questions right up front.
Yeah.
Because you've lived through it. We're going through it right now. Mm-hmm. How do we talk to you 2 years ago? We would have probably been in a different situation. We didn't understand in terms of how to get we initially had it, the idea of making it a commercial property. So we walked through the rezoning process, which is fun. But then, when you actually try to do that, and then you price out a commercial building, it was a little bit too rich for our blood. So let's work with the zoning we have, and we could make it work for our business the way it is. But then we just decided that the rate of revenue was much more important than the cash flow over time. And we're just going to flip the property pretty much at this point. And that's what we're doing. But going into that construction loan process, having all these questions, because the gotchas are everywhere.
Yeah.
All the things that you thought were like you talked about. And I would imagine when you have a relationship with somebody who does it upstandingly from the get-go, I'm going to hold on to him and I'm going to champion him or her to everybody who's doing this. And it's like, you would think that, the word has to get out about this more so, about this type of approach. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe you just need to get on more podcasts.
Yeah. I have way more. I actually have a situation where, getting your draws on time too is a big thing. Knowing the draw process, saying, hey, look, I'm going to submit for a draw. I would say, make sure if you're working with a lender or a bank, it's like, hey, the old school way is these construction appraisers that would come out to evaluate how much progress has been done.
Mm-hmm.
And that could take days and then a report. But now they have the mobile app where that you take a picture and they upload it. And I mean, it's like a 48-hour, turnaround in some cases with the lenders that I'm working with now. Yeah. It used to be 3 to 5 days, and then gosh forbid if there's a holiday or whatever, there's always a friggin' holiday.
Right?
And it's like, there's
we got Friday off because it's, Groundhog
and they'll
Feet
tell
Day.
You. Yeah, seriously. There's always something. Yeah. So, and I'm a guy that likes to like go and push too.
And most of the guys that are working for you are probably the same way.
Yeah, because they want to collect and, be gone and maybe on to the next project. But yeah, I mean, super, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I absolutely I love what I do. But man, like I really just put myself in this is I'm in the hot seat and I got to navigate my way through this.
And you're dealing with a pretty highly competitive market.
Yeah. And this industry will beat you to your knees if you allow it, but you just have to get up and you just got to keep going. And when people are like, if you were really to think about like all the situations that you put yourself in across every asset, how do you prevent, if you thought it would just weigh you down, you'd crawl into a hole and I'm like, you just can't.
But it's the mindset that goes along with it. You just accept it.
You 1000% accept it. And then you say, and you beat it,
As an entrepreneur, you just gotta accept that, when you're not working for somebody, you're trading all those things away, the comfort, the stability, all the different things I said, but at the same time, you're also having one revenue source and that can go away at any time beyond your control. And some people are good with that, but sometimes they're the people at the most risk. When you become, you get the entrepreneurial mindset, like it happened to me in 2015, 2016. You trade that and you realize, well, I need to create 3 legs to the stool, at least, so it doesn't fall over.
Yeah.
And you figure out ways to do it. And, one day leads to another, 1 week leads to another, 1 month leads to another. And I try to teach my kids that, but it's to work for somebody else, I would have to have just a lot of leverage now, and you realize that after you have a taste of this.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for 10 years. It is a mindset shift. And it's like, I couldn't see it any other way now. Does that make sense? Even though it's headache after headache, what's this day got? Right. Got payroll to make. I got to make sure the guys are paid, but somehow you just figure it out.
Yeah.
Isn't
that the truth? And you know what? It just works out.
It kind of does.
It does.
It ain't perfect.
It's not perfect.
It's not perfect.
It does work out.
But as long as you're willing to learn and ask the right questions, and
1000%. And I think you work hard too, no matter what.
You almost have again, I always pitch podcasts to people. But are there any luxury builder podcasts where you guys put the gripes out on the table?
I would do it all day. I'm an open book. And temperament too. I mean, it's hot-headed nature. I probably get that from my mom. Hopefully she's not listening. But love her to pieces. Where I got into a situation where I caught one of my lenders manipulating a payout and they tried to put it on me, so much so that I ended up having to go through the ringer, getting legal involved in all this stuff. And man, I tell you, I keep my attorney busy. And so much so that they couldn't even fess up. Finally to the end where they're like, yes, we basically screwed you over. It was because we balanced our books. Towards the end of the month, your draw was $400,000, but we're only going to give you $176,000, but we're going to make it sound like there wasn't $400,000 of work done.
Right.
So I called the inspector, and that individual sent me the report, and it was exactly $400,000. So, and then I had to sign a non-compete, or not non-compete, but what is it called?
Non-disclosure.
I couldn't talk shit about them. Right. Sorry for swearing.
That's right.
So basically they're like, we're going to close this loan out because we're in fear of potentially you have a very larger bandwidth and of builders out there of ruining our reputation. So we're going to make it really hard on you right now.
Good luck enforcing that.
Yeah. We're good. So,
well, let me ask you this. Cause I mean,
I would never say their name.
When you do have those moments, my brother's an attorney too, and I've shared him our grief stories with our experience. He's like, who is this bank? Let me, I'm going to write, you can't be nice with these people. They do have a boot on your neck, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, I get that. I said, but we're nearing the end. Let's just get this thing done.
Yeah.
And when you actually do call them out and you reach out and you say, this doesn't seem right. I mean, is there pushback, or do you feel like it's a staring contest and first one to blink loses?
It is, because I know more than you. And it's, these individuals, bless their heart, that come out. Some of them have very little construction background, and I'm like, hey, just going off the budget alone of what's percentage complete, is the biggest fight. And then the big thing, like what I would tell any builder that is in the lending space, just be very proactive about whatever. If you're submitting for a draw, just make sure it's like, through the first 3 quarters of that month and not towards the end. Because there may, and maybe they don't experience, but I'm sure some of them have, like they'll experience that where these other companies have internal processes as well, especially companies that sell you off to a warehouse line. And the other negative part of like back to the payments, like making interest payments with some of these like warehouse guys, let's say you're at, somewhere like 11%, and you default, let's say you're 5 or 6 days late on a payment. Well, that next month, non-negotiable is 18%. And then they'll get you back on track for the next month, following month. And it's just crazy. Any way that they can just squeeze you, like get a nickel out of you, they will. So that's why for me, I was like, man, like going through the process of just doing mid-construction refinancing on a couple of these loans to get into an interest reserve. Ideally, there's so many benefits to it because you're buying more time and then you're also protecting the asset. And those are things that you just don't know. Like these brokers and whatever else, they're going to sell you their product and tell you they're going to tell you what you want to hear. But into their defense too, it's like they kind of learn as they go, and they've learned a lot through me.
Yeah.
So
well, there's a podcast there. The headaches of high-end home building.
So you mentioned something earlier. You talked about going through the rezoning process. I just did through Rutherford County, and that was my first attempt. Yeah. My first try at it. Even I didn't have to do anything like that in Michigan, but what a process. So there's a farmland, and there's 12 lots. There's already a couple homes that are already built, but I bought up 5 homes to build on. And then there's this existing barn. It's off of Horton Highway. Right. Beautiful place. So my goal, my dream, so my wife is an equestrian, and we have horses that are in, we keep them in Franklin. And was to build, a state-of-the-art indoor riding arena with a really nice 24 to 26 stable barn with office space above, a restaurant, a farm-to-table restaurant, a couple boutique stores, and a cafe. Mm-hmm. That was my pitch. So I had to start with a town meeting, and you gotta
sell it to them.
Yeah, sell it to them. And then, I actually presented it to Rutherford County because I wanted them to be involved on it too. And get them involved and make them get excited about it as well, which they did. And they were extremely helpful, top to bottom. Yeah. And, and I did have some fight along the way with one of the, homeowners who doesn't even live here. He lives out of state, and, oh man, but it was a process. And it seems like I think that's going to help that area as far as where I'm building to be able to have an amenity. And,
absolutely.
And it wasn't just a passion it was like if we're going to be moving out in this area, that's our goal, is we want to have a community of some sort.
Yeah.
There is something to be said about privacy and having acreage, but if you have 5 acre lots minimum in this beautiful development, and then you have access to a beautiful, amazing farm to table restaurant, ice cream shop, or whatever it's going to be, a coffee shop.
Mayberry.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know about them until I was like, wait, they took my idea. No, but, so it was crazy. It was so cool to kind of learn, and cause we have to we had a great, because we have good enough soil, but we're going to have to use a step system. I had to go through all the civil engineering and working with T-Square. And then since Horton Highway was a state highway, we had to get them involved. And that was a absolute, where I'm doing traffic studies. So this thing has been ongoing since, July or August of last year. And I got through the planning commission before I had to meet with the mayor. I had to, you had 3 shots, and, I just kept getting deferred, not turned down. But it was like one last attempt, and they got it moved, I got the thumbs up. And then the following month, it was in front of the entire board. And Mr. Pettis he's head of the district out there, just a class act gentleman, incredible guy. And him and along with the other board members really, they bought in, they saw the vision, and and then I went up there and did my speech for 3 minutes in this courthouse, and it's intimidating. There's this old courthouse.
You got all the councilmen watching it.
Oh man. It's like, holy crap, what is this?
Yeah, we did that for Maury County.
Oh, no way. Okay. Yeah. So you've experienced that too. And then, it was just to get the resounding yes. It was such and this just recently happened, was a win that I feel like I needed.
One of our business partners, he went for the first go around, if you will, to move on to the next aspect of it. And he got turned down because he's a very analytical, logical type of approach guy. Well, it says here, this is what I got to do, and this is what I did. And that, he's not selling the idea. Yeah. So they didn't, I can't remember what happened, but basically we had to bring it in front of the entire council committee or whatever. And he went up there first and wasn't able, for some reason, it didn't move forward, but we were able to kind of readdress it. And I then took the microphone and I said, look, all we want to do is build a place where small business owners can go. I mean, this is the backbone of the American economy.
I love
People wanted, and all of a sudden you can start playing music behind my speech. And everyone was everyone is just kind of nodding and everything. I'm like, okay, this is what we need to do. This is the sales pitch, the feels, all that stuff. It's much more of an emotional approach, because at the same rezoning meeting, are you aware of Firefly going on in over here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's when they got that property rezoned. Was when we were there. Wow. And the guy who actually is building that property was at the same meeting. And because he was buying a fire truck for the county and blah, 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 and doing all these things. Oh, resounding. Absolutely. He gets everything he wants. But you guys, how many trucks are going to be going onto your property? Dude, maybe 1, 2 a quarter, if that. Well, that's, we got to do a traffic study. I'm like, and you got 400 homes just 300 feet north of us that are going in. Have you done a traffic study for them? Because they're adding a ton of traffic to that area. So it was, oh my gosh. It was so.
There's politics with everything. Right?
Oh yeah.
So very similar situation where, as I'm going through the planning phases of it, the planning commission and meeting at the courthouse, the idea, it's like the whole premise of it is, can you buy into the idea?
Right.
I'm not going to spend the money on engineered drawings and all that. That gets worked out, but I'm painting a picture, a very affordable picture for me of what we want to do here. And here are my limitations. And this is what we want to do. Does the area accept it?
Yeah.
And through the process, there were some, hey, we need to see this. We need to see this. And it was like, hey, a lot of that stuff can be addressed through engineering, like are you buying into the idea or not? And actually one of the board members stood up and basically said that, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
We just approved of a ball field that's going in an area where there's homes surrounding, and you're racking this guy about, what is the lighting, with the photometric plan and all that stuff here. And I'm like,
trying to find anything to make an issue.
And I'm like, it's an indoor riding arena. You're going to hear the 0-turn lawnmower louder than you will anything that's going on.
Well, there's also, does it serve the public need? Because we had spot zoning going around us. Like some were commercial, some were not. We had a facility across the street that was public use, sports facility. So it's like we had the precedent had been set. Also, never mind the fact that I guess the assistant fire chief has the adjacent property behind us. So he raised a stink. I'm like, dude, this is an intersection where we are. It's going commercial. At some point, there's going to be a gas station on the corner. We're 1 yard, one property next to the corner property. And that guy, the owner, we found out he was trying to rezone it to commercial for years now. And they always, whenever they turn you down, you get pushed off for like 9 months. Yeah. So you got to bring it back in front of the board again. But he keeps on trying. And I'm like, yeah, eventually there's going to be a car wash and a twice daily there. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Well, good for him.
Well, I mean, I'm like, guys, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
The guy the property next to us, there was a guy from California, I want to say, go figure. He bought the property and he wanted to zone it commercial.
Yeah.
Guys, it's going. And the funny thing is, one of the council member who's now running for, county mayor or whatever, Gabe Howard. That guy got up and he was one of the 2 representatives in our district where we have the property. And he goes, it's not my problem. You didn't do your due diligence after you bought the property or before you bought the property. And I looked at this guy. I was like, I'm from the Northeast. And I'm like, buddy, I better not find you after this meeting. You better go and find your car and just drive.
Oh, man.
And he goes, and then to come to find out, you hear the scuttlebutt from other insiders. He did exactly that. He apparently bought property, so I've heard, and didn't do his due diligence. And then, had to fight for it and get it where he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you're speaking from experience is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Hypocrite.
I know. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. This world will harden you if you allow it.
It really does. It's the Rocky movie.
Yeah. It is actually. That's so funny. As I'm saying, I'm like, I heard that somewhere.
It'll hold you, keep you down. And,
yeah, that's right.
I could keep you there if you let it.
Yeah. But man, overall just an incredible experience with Rutherford County, and I've worked with Davidson County too. And I treat those people with the utmost respect. Same thing with Brentwood. And I'm overly nice, you know, until you and sometimes with them too, they'll take advantage of that, and then if you're a knowledgeable individual and building, and then you push back, sometimes more aggressive than you probably should be.
Yeah.
They'll have, it's that fight a little bit. There's always like, who knows more kind of thing. And then once you have success in this world and you kind of show them what you're capable of, it's like men, right? Yeah. It's like, I see this guy, it's like, this is, whatever.
You gotta prove yourself.
Yeah. And that just happens in this world. Now, after the traffic study, it got approved, going up there and sitting down with the engineers and my attorneys. I'm like, you got to be prepared for, they wanted me to go represent it. And I said, I'm going to go. I'm kind of gassed out. Like, I've been beaten up on this thing, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to go up there myself and deliver. And I'm going to speak from the heart about who I am, veteran of this country, my vision behind and why. And it's community driven, and I think this place could use it. And I spoke on that for 3 minutes, and it was like closed deal. And right then I realized that it's crossing the T's and dotting the I's, all that stuff gets worked out once it gets approval. But they really, truly want to know, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Who is this person that wants to rezone, to a PUD to bring in a commercial element? What's his, and if you put yourself in their perspective, I understand it.
Yeah.
They want you.
They're doing their job.
They're doing their job, and they're like, who is this guy?
And that's the same thing, given going back to the bankers. There's a reason why all these hoops are in place, is because I've known contractors that would get these construction loans and they show up in a brand new truck. We've all seen it.
Oh yeah.
And it's we were in the contracting space for a minute.
Okay.
Once upon a time, electrical.
Yeah.
So that was, those types of projects can eat your lunch if you like them.
Oh yeah. 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 So there's some, so I feel like, the electrical, HVAC, plumbing for the next 15 years, I think that's a good business for people to be in right now.
It's a good business to be in right now. I think
AI's hasn't really caught up to that and won't. So
unless you start putting robots doing them.
I know. I saw that in Japan. That takes a generation or two to kind of accept that. Yeah. And that's not going to be for some time.
Yeah. And the other thing is that the trades are going to have the pick of the litter when it comes to talent in the next half decade.
Yeah, it's already happening.
You see it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because now you're getting
and they're naming their price. I mean, some of these guys are it's just out of this world.
But a lot of white collar people are starting to turn blue collar because they're getting laid off.
Yeah,
and that's going to happen more and more and more. And the trades are going to luck out. Their talent pool is going to be so much deeper and so much richer.
I think so too.
And the people who have had access to the trades over the last 20, 30, 40 years that didn't take it seriously. It's a certain kind of people that we got to deal with. When we were an electrical company, it took us about 13 to 15 people to find the one that was a good one. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. We self-performed in Michigan, and I had up to 44 employees at one point. And the more I had as far as overhead, the less OH&P I was bringing in. And just less oversight. But I think the sweet spot as a subcontracting company is anywhere between like 17 to 22 guys. If you can keep them busy, you're in this. And this is the commercial space. I mean, I'm sure in the residential as well. But yeah, I mean, to your point, finding, how many people did you go through?
Oh, tons.
It's
about 10 to 15 people.
I would say, at least.
Yeah, to find the one person.
80, I think I've probably had to fire.
That's going to get contracted
and it's so hard to find. It was like in the Midwest, and this being up there, it was hard to find good work.
See, it was like, unless you're a really established place. I worked for an electrician up in Connecticut. Hello, Nikon and Rizzo Electric, all those guys. And they always seem to just attract good people, but they are also doing the outreach into the trade schools, all the different alternative types of education to kind of get their foot in the door as a employer of preference to attract good. So they always had like the cream of the crop of decent people, and they hacked that process with a lot of new, people that work for somebody else and then realize, well, hey, why am I doing all this? I could do this for myself, but they don't factor in the entrepreneur factor. The what do they call that? The E-myth.
Oh yeah.
And there's 3 archetypes in that book.
Yeah.
And they become the technician who basically owns a job. Well, I need to get somebody, and then they start treating people the way they were treated. It's almost like the car business in a way, where they would flood the floor with salespeople, treat you like I didn't have this experience, but in that business primarily, they'll bring somebody in, treat them like garbage, kick them around because, hey, we got somebody else waiting to come in. We can replace you just like that. Yeah. Not realizing, well, hey, as a business, we're shooting ourselves in the foot because we're constantly training. We're constantly, having to bring somebody new on board. It's affecting our frontline sales. It's affecting our relationships with our customers because when the customer comes back and they want to deal with a salesperson they like, chances are they're not there again. That's the same thing in the trades.
Yeah.
A lot of the trades have a lot of overturn.
Oh, yeah.
Or turnover, and it's a lot of these guys that decide to do it on their own and they hire somebody to come in and they kick them around to toughen them up. They don't need to stay there.
No,
it's not the military. You can't. You can leave.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried so many different things, and it's a different generation too. These men and women in the construction field. I'm not speaking over all of them, but in their 20s, they have an expectation of a paycheck of making a certain amount of money and showing up at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, is a thing.
Yeah.
Not in the construction. If I'm taking your calls, it's a problem. So right now, my projects are far enough along to where I am. It's just me, and I'm in a comfortable space to where I'm able to do that. If these projects were just getting started now, what does the future look like? And for Hein Properties, I'm actually working with other general contractors, and I'm going to be basically the man behind the curtain.
Right.
Now, I am so picky when it comes to my builds, and I make changes on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
And I care about I'm showing up. You will see me on a project at least 3 or 4 days out of the week.
Yeah.
A lot of general contractors just don't. And some of them are just they're not experienced. But I'm trying to create something that has a level of timelessness. And I care about every home as if if I were to live here, I want to make changes accustomed to me. And I've said that before, but I truly mean that. I love the ability that I have, and it's a blessing that I could sit down with a draftsman and I draw up these drawings. We're not buying drawings. So I have the opportunity to draw up these drawings, and I get to see it come to life. There's so much that goes into it. And I worked with some incredible interior designers, and I know I put them through the ringer and bless their hearts. But because I am making changes, to play off the land or to play off, the way the sun comes in this corner of the area, we're going to open the space up, maybe add a window. I'm that guy, add an arch or whatever, and I've been fortunate enough to find subcontractors who know me and how I operate. And so that helps too. If I'm in Brentwood and they're in College Grove, they know me. I've been working with these guys for 4 years. Yeah. They know it needs to be done. I mean, I had my finished carpenter come. He's like, "Hey, you would have put like some sort of coffered ceiling or an arch here or whatever. Are you sure you don't want it?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's actually a really good idea. To add that in there." So it's to find good work, and I've it's been five years of just kind of working through some of these subcontractors, trying to find the right ones. And I've been lucky to find some incredible subcontractors to work with. And there are some bad eggs in there, but
you're gonna get them.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jason Miller. I'm the owner of Christian Brothers Automotive here in Spring Hill, Tennessee. We fix cars here, both European and domestic, from simple oil changes to complete engine rebuilds and replacements. Most important thing, though, is while you're waiting, we've got the best snack game in town, and we invite you to make yourself at home and get to know us, and we treat you like family. We're located right across the street from Walmart on Highway 31 right here in Spring Hill. Let us know that you heard about us on this ad, and we'll give you 10% off your next oil change. So stop on in and see us in downtown Spring Hill. Do we even have a downtown in Spring Hill?
Because, that's the thing is we heard recently from somebody that was complaining about, a contractor they had on a remodel and either not communicating or timelines getting extended.
Yeah.
And she was very upset about the fact that, well, you didn't tell me this, that whatever we ordered is still overseas. Now we got to wait an extra 3 months. Yeah, that's just how and it's almost like they can get away with that bad behavior because there's so much work to be had.
Yeah.
And to get somebody to return your call is a challenge around here because it's shooting fish in a barrel. And there's a level of spoiled notion that I guess gets established,
Yeah.
And
especially when some of these contractors, are making hand over fist. You know, they're making good money, and then they just get to a certain level or have a certain level of expectations, but, or they did have a level of expectation, and then they just kind of drifted away. And some people do really well and make it, and you know, a significant amount of wealth, and then they let things slide. And
we see it in B&I all the time.
Yeah, and I don't see myself ever doing that. Well, I don't, because I care. I think
your name's on it.
Well, not only is my name on it, but yeah, having the ability to create, and seeing it come to life, as I mentioned before, that's really cool. For me, it's like it's fun.
Yeah,
that's the most. That's the one thing that I love most about what I do.
You know, dealing with difficult clients is a big part of this too, especially in your space. They're very discerning. They're going to have high expectations, and understandably, it's very fair. They're spending a lot of money on something.
Yeah.
How do you balance demand? Like, you go into something, somebody might chalk you down on price. They want the champagne on a beer budget.
Yeah.
Or maybe a little bit elevated from that. How did you develop pushback when it comes to that? Like, understanding this is what we agreed to. I understand you have the power to give me a bad review, but to be fair here, you know what I'm saying? You know, how do you balance that? And how did you figure that out?
Well, early on, like one of my very first build here in HPR, I even have it framed. I was so proud of it. I loved it. And I've had this disgruntled buyer, and like an absolute nut job. And it's nothing's wrong with that. One of those where they just tore apart the house trying to find something wrong with it because she
wanted a discount.
Yeah, this person, she's a witch or whatever, like literally, or something. So I think you just have to answer the bell at any time you're called to it. And if there is an issue, like a warranty issue, then communication is key, but just making sure that they're taken care of at the end of the day. They will, there are some home buyers that will try to take advantage of something, and you just have to be very firm, but soft and respectful. Say, hey, and I've been known to go a little bit above and beyond, and that's fine. I want them to be satisfied with their product, whether it's right now or if it's 2 years down the road. But that, and they're little things, they're like little minuscule things. And that's a lot of the reason why a lot of builders are like, oh man, this little thing over here. Yeah. I have other bigger things to worry about, but let's from the beginning, because we are in a space where we have to take care of our clients as well. So I think making sure that they're happy with the home, and you want to stand behind your brand. And I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not, but if there's a builder that's just like, okay, I have a set of plans. It's a spec build. I'm purchasing them from something and I'm just buying it to like the end game is the dollar amount, they're going to care less about it potentially. So I feel like, I don't know, for me personally, it's just, again, it's like having the opportunity to design and develop and work very closely with the interior designer, and putting something together, to truly build it, makes you, it makes you put a little bit more effort into it and making sure that the potential home buyer, that they're extremely satisfied. And, if there are, again, little things, you just want to make sure that you take care of them.
What kind of cool things are emerging in the home building space, especially in the luxury end? I'm hoping like more man cave-esque type.
Yeah. No, so
garages being decked out like a man. Yeah. Is that a thing? Is that becoming a thing?
No, it's different now. So for me, I pay attention to some of the trends, but also through life experience of traveling around, like I've had the opportunity to, these massive amount of points, right? Just from lumber package, right? You know, when people say, oh, you travel around the world, all this stuff, you must have a ton of money. It's like, no, I just have a crap load of points, you know, and taking advantage of that.
Credit cards. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. So yeah, credit cards. So my wife and I were recently in Italy, and we were in, you know, we went all over. We were Lake Como and at the Tremezza Hotel, and people marvel at some of the ornate and exterior details. People literally stop and take pictures. Nobody's doing that anymore. So for me, it was, how do I focus on making a very timeless and romantic exterior facade with the ornate details, the Juliet balconies, but just how do I make it blend to this, into this modern world that we so that's been my challenge with some of my builds. But, to your question, I think people are looking for that, because you do see it on social media, the Coswold vibe, you know, the single story, the stone, you know, something that's strong and sturdy, but elegant. Yeah. And I absolutely love that. And those homes are, and I have a couple that are going right now, and those are selling like crazy. But a wellness area is big right now. That's your sauna. And I have, building or like working with cold form framing and you know, framing, drywall and all that. That's my background. My dad, he owned a successful construction business for 35 years, and that's what he primarily specialized in. So that's where I can do a house from start to finish. So, but there's, with the framing, you know, there's like, you know, there's soffit details, and there's like, you know, you have, you know, the arches, and bringing a little bit more detail on the, like with the warm woods, accompanying the warm woods are a big thing right now. But the wellness areas where you have, you know, a sauna, steam room, cold plunge, a really nice workout area, at home workout area, I feel like is really hot right now.
Oh, cool. So. I saw this the other day, like somebody's taking storage units and turning them into man caves.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like they're
just
a little bit,
or rent one out.
Yeah. They're selling them. And these guys, you know, one guy was talking about, he's like, well, this one customer likes his Traeger grill, and he grills out all the time, and they got couches and TVs and ping pong tables, all the things. And it's like, you know, is it that bad that you got to have a place off site from your house? What does that say, man? You know,
get as far away from the wife as possible.
That's what somebody even commented. Like,
that's hilarious.
Like, how bad is your marriage and family got to be when you got to be off site?
Going to the office, baby.
Right. You ever see?
I'm heading to the storage unit. I left some in there.
Was it 6 Feet Under? You ever see that show?
No, I haven't. It sounds familiar. I know.
It reminds me of the father. Who they have a lot of flashbacks to the father when they were coming up. The father dies in the show, and that it takes from that point on. But they do flashbacks, and the father basically rents out an office space where he can hang out, listen to music, and smoke weed.
Just jam out.
Just be by himself.
I actually had this. There's a house we were building for ourselves, but we're gonna end up we're gonna sell it, and I think my wife wants a little bit. We're way up on a hill, and now we have this kid, and she wants a little bit more green grass to run, which I totally get. But I was going to do I was in Japan and Niseko, and a couple of my buddies were up there snowboarding, and we went into this. It looked like a fridge door, like an old fridge door, like a Coca-Cola door, like whatever. Yeah. I'm like, it's in this stone wall, and it's like yay big. I'm like, what the heck is that? And so I'm like, let's go check it out. So we get in there. You literally have to low crawl in there, and it opens up to this Japanese whiskey bar.
Oh, wow.
And it's got records on the wall, and this guy that's up there, you know, playing, you know, spinning records and stuff like that. And it was the snow's at the background. I was like, man, so what if on this,
it's like a speakeasy.
It is. Yeah. It's a true speakeasy. I'm like, oh man, that's really cool. Yeah. What if on this one I did something similar? Being from Detroit, they used to make this record player. The Shinola used to make it. So cool, just like old school. What if I had like a record room, and I'm envisioning and my trim carpenter is going to kind of build it out for that. And a couple beautiful chairs that it's like, and then it's off the wellness area. So you have, you can hit the sauna, you can get a workout in, hit the sauna or hit the steam room, maybe hit the plunge. Then you walk into your man cave, but and you put on some chill music. And for the burners out there, if they want to, light one up,
right.
It'd be like,
relax.
Yeah. Or relax, have like a whisk. So there is, I don't know. That was kind of one of my visions, but golf simulators are a big thing.
Really?
Too. Oh,
I could see
huge.
Yeah.
So having a golf simulator along with all of that, right? Like a hangout area, there's still, the man caves aren't quite like the Midwest man caves where you have like the, cedar wood and the iron and all that stuff. It's just a little bit more sleek.
What about video walls?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, we got to talk offline. We're in that business.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
We could be your supplier.
And there you go. Yeah. Let's do it.
Well, there you go, man. Moving forward, where do you want to be? I mean, what does it look like 5-10 years from now? How can we help you?
Yeah, man. So I think, I've been presented with so many different opportunities. I think this PUD, getting that approved to do a, like a restaurant, coffee shop, like in the mix of a development.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would love to start fresh. I've already located a couple properties and I've been presented a couple properties, but it's bringing back more of the village concept.
Right. Almost like Tollgate over here and West Haven.
So
right. Master plan community.
Yeah. A master plan community, but not so cookie cutter. Like, hey, there's a significant amount of acreage here, but we want 5, 7, 8 acre lots.
Right.
We want space. We want walking trails. Maybe imagine having like a little cool, like cowboy-esque, like general store, like a microbrewery or,
sure.
like a farm to table restaurant, something that, and then a pavilion area in the middle where the kids of the area, people can come, maybe they can bring in food trucks. Like this is an 8 to 12, like a 12 build development. A lot of this you would see in larger scale developments, cookie cutter, but it's like, how do I bring that community? And that's just a couple ideas. How do I start that? Because I love to golf, but there are people that don't love the golf.
Right.
And these golfing communities, like the Troubadour and the Grove, I mean, they have some of that, but they're surrounded by a golf course.
Right.
But they're also on half-acre lots or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But what if we just did away with the golf course and we focused on the community and like the village concept, like a community garden or, actually up in Michigan, I had a buddy he works for GM and he lived in Seattle for a little bit, worked for Amazon. And when he got the job at, he was in Seattle for probably 6 years, came back. And he's like, man, a couple of my buddies there, we would brew our own beer. We'd get all the guys together in the community and they'd brew their own beer. And then, we brought in the wives and we would bottle it and then, it'd ferment and all that stuff. And then a month later they would break bread over it and they would pair it with a food group. And then while they're there, they would, they'd be brewing the next batch for the next month, and pair. And I'm like, that is so creative and so cool. Now, and I had, being in Grosse Pointe area in Michigan, it was so community driven. And that I think is a huge missing element here. I know that's just the beer thing, but bringing in something like that would stimulate more community. Yeah. Would be cool. I think that's the next.
We're coming back around to that, I think.
Yeah, that's the next thing, and just doing it right but it starts with working the right visionary as far as an architecture and developer. Some of these companies that I've actually sat down and talked with, and this guy who's really excited about it. And I think that's the next chapter. I will continue to focus on luxury spec builds as well. Maybe do 2 a year instead of 9 right now.
Right.
And focus on the areas that are a little bit more receptive to, as far as what's buying and what's selling. Belmead and that area. There's a lot of opportunity there. And then not necessarily pull away from College Grove, because I've met a lot of incredible farmers here and people that have land, and I really like this area and these people. And I still feel like there's a really good opportunity to bring my vision of life out here more so than anywhere else, especially knowing Rutherford County, understanding and knowing what those people need to see. And they're just so easy to, it's like a blessing to work with them compared to a lot. So I think it's just the good energy, right, that they put out. And I know that Rutherford County in particular is trying to stimulate other builders. That was actually on the docket when just before, it was like perfect timing. This guy gets up there and they're like, oh, it's going to be on the news today. We're going to incentivize other builders to come this way to develop. And I'm like, here comes Josh, right? Next. Hey, speaking of that.
Yeah. Funny you should say that.
Funny you should say that. I got this PUD that I'm trying to get approved for a restaurant.
Well, there you go, man. For all the things that we talked about, especially if you're a builder or looking to build something, willing to take questions, I'm assuming.
Oh man, absolutely. Yeah. I would help out in any way that I could. And I have some incredible lenders that I work with, Builders Capital, Investor
You can almost
Funding.
be like the Dave Ramsey of builders and have your ELPs.
Yeah. So I have some lenders that I would say, hey, you want to work with these people. They do a really good job. And then, there's low key, some others I would say to stay away from.
Right.
Yeah.
Except of course, non-disclosure.
Yeah, exactly.
Check them out. All the details will be in the description as always. HeinProperties.com is the website. If you want to be, and if you got some value out of this particular episode, mmtbp.com is the place to go. Otherwise, you can type it in the long way, mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast.com, but that's why I truncated it down to mmtbp.com. Thank you, Mule Town Bikes. Thank you, Josh, for coming up. First time we're meeting here together. Thanks for being on, brother.
Yes, sir. Anytime. Thank you.